There is something passing through you right now that you did not choose. Something ancient. Something that existed long before this body, long before this planet began circling its star, long before the first breath of biological life stirred in the primordial waters of this world. And the fact that you are here, that your eyes found this, that something and you said yes to this moment, is not coincidence. It never was. You have been told your whole life that you are a small thing in a vast universe, that you are random. That consciousness is an accident of chemistry, a flicker of electricity in a skull that will one day go dark. And you believed it, not because it was true, but because everyone around you believed it too. But something in you never fully accepted that story. Something in you always sensed there was more, a quiet hum beneath the noise, a signal beneath the static. And that signal has been growing louder, hasn't it? That is why you are here. What if I told you that you were not searching for this, that this was searching for you? That the very intelligence you have been seeking outside yourself has been seeking you from a place beyond time, beyond dimension, beyond anything your rational mind can comfortably hold? And what if I told you that the beings some call the Pleiadians, the star consciousness associated with that brilliant cluster of light visible to the naked eye on a clear night, have not randomly scattered their attention across billions of humans on this planet? They have focused, they have chosen, and the resonance you feel right now, that strange electricity in your chest, that expansion behind your eyes, that is the proof. But here is what no one tells you. Being chosen is not what you think it is. It is not an award. It is not a badge. It is not the universe tapping you on the shoulder and saying, "Congratulations, you are special. Now sit back and enjoy the ride." Being chosen is a frequency match. It means something in your field, something in the very architecture of your consciousness has reached a harmonic that allows contact, that allows transmission, that allows a kind of communication that does not happen through words or language, but through resonance, through light, through the reorganization of your entire energetic structure from the inside out. And that process, that becoming, is not comfortable. It is not passive. It is the most active thing you will ever do, even though from the outside it may look like you are doing nothing at all. Let me take you deeper. The Pleiadians, 7 sisters. That is what the ancient Greeks called them. But the Greeks were not the first. The Aboriginal Australians, whose culture stretches back over 60,000 years, had stories about the Pleiades. The Lakota Sioux said they came from the stars. The Maori of New Zealand, the Japanese, the Hindus, the Egyptians, cultures separated by oceans, by millennia, by language, by every conceivable barrier to shared knowledge, all pointed to the same cluster of stars and said the same thing. They are connected to us. They are watching. They are teaching. They are waiting. Now your rational mind will say that is just pattern recognition, that human beings project meaning onto the sky because we are storytelling animals who cannot tolerate randomness, and that is a reasonable position. But here is where it fractures, because quantum physics, the most rigorously tested framework in the history of science, tells us something that makes the rational position far less stable than it appears. It tells us that observation affects reality, that the act of conscious attention collapses possibility into form, that at the most fundamental level of existence, matter does not behave like matter until someone is watching. The observer effect is not a metaphor. It is not a philosophical thought experiment. It is a measured, repeated, verified phenomenon. Particles exist in superposition in a state of infinite potential until consciousness interacts with them, and then they choose. They become one thing instead of all things. So what does this mean for you? It means that consciousness is not a byproduct of the universe. Consciousness is the mechanism by which the universe becomes real. And if consciousness is fundamental, if awareness is not generated by matter, but is the field from which matter emerges, then the idea that consciousness exists only inside human skulls on one planet, in one solar system, in one galaxy, is not just unlikely. It is absurd. It is like standing on a single grain of sand and declaring that sand only exists right here beneath your feet. Consciousness permeates. Consciousness extends. Consciousness connects across what we experience as distance and time, but what may, at deeper levels, be neither. And this is where the Pleiadian contact begins to make a different kind of sense, not as mythology, not as fantasy, but as a natural consequence of a conscious universe in which awareness at different frequencies, at different densities, at different stages of evolution can interact, can communicate, can reach across the apparent void and touch. Pause with that for a moment. Let it settle not in your mind but in your body. Feel what happens when you stop trying to understand this intellectually and simply allow the resonance of it to move through you. Because this is how Pleiadian communication actually works. Not through the mind, through the field. You have been trained to process everything through thought, through analysis, through the narrow bandwidth of rational cognition. And that bandwidth is extraordinary for certain tasks. It builds bridges, it writes code, it sequences genomes, but it is utterly insufficient for the kind of knowing we are talking about here. The Pleiadian frequency does not enter through the intellect. It enters through the heart field. Through the electromagnetic signature that your heart generates, which is measurably 5,000 times stronger than the electromagnetic field of your brain. Your heart is not just a pump. It is an organ of perception. It is a receiver. And when it reaches a certain coherence, a certain harmonic alignment, it becomes capable of receiving information that the brain alone could never access. This is why so many of you have been experiencing things you cannot explain. Heart palpitations that have no medical cause, a feeling of pressure or expansion in the center of your chest, moments of overwhelming emotion that arise from nowhere, tears that come without sadness, joy that comes without reason. Your heart field is being activated. It is being tuned, and the tuning is not random. It is intelligent. It is precise. It is being done by a consciousness that understands your frequency better than you understand it yourself. Here is where it gets interesting. The Pleiadians, as described across channeled material, across indigenous wisdom, across the direct experience of thousands of people who have no reason to fabricate such accounts, are not physical beings in the way you are physical. They exist at a higher frequency of reality. Think of it this way. You know that visible light is only a tiny sliver of the electromagnetic spectrum. Below it is infrared microwave radio. Above it is ultraviolet X-ray gamma. The reality you perceive with your 5 senses is like visible light. It is real, but it is a fraction, a thin band of an infinite spectrum. The Pleiadian consciousness exists in a band just above yours, close enough to interact, close enough to influence, but different enough that you cannot see them with your eyes or detect them with instruments calibrated only to your frequency. But you can feel them. You already have. That is why you are here. Think about the moments in your life when you knew something you had no way of knowing, when you felt a presence in a room that your eyes could not confirm, when a decision arose from somewhere deeper than thought and turned out to be exactly right, when you woke at 300 in the morning with a clarity that vanished by breakfast but left a residue, a sense that something had been communicated, something important, something you could almost but not quite remember. Those were not glitches. Those were contact points. Moments when the membrane between your frequency and theirs became thin enough for information to pass through. And the membrane is getting thinner. For you, specifically. For everyone who resonates with this transmission. That is not a general statement. It is a precise observation about the energetic shift happening on this planet right now, and the specific role that certain consciousnesses Certain souls, certain frequency holders are playing in it. Let me explain what I mean by that. There is a concept in physics called entrainment. When you place two pendulum clocks on the same wall, even if they start swinging at different rhythms, they will eventually synchronize. The stronger oscillation pulls the weaker one into alignment. This is not mysticism. This is measurable physics, and it applies to consciousness. When a being or a group of beings operating at a higher frequency of coherence comes into proximity with beings operating at a lower frequency, the lower frequency begins to rise. Not through force, not through effort, through resonance, through the natural tendency of energy to seek harmony. The Pleiadian consciousness is functioning as an entrainment signal for this planet. Not the only one. There are other star lineages, other dimensional intelligences involved in what is happening here. But the Pleiadian frequency is specifically attuned to the human heart field because, and this is crucial, the Pleiadian evolution went through a phase very similar to what Earth is going through now. They know this transition. They have lived it. They understand the specific challenges of a species waking up inside a reality it created while asleep, and they are offering their coherence as a kind of scaffolding, a harmonic structure that your consciousness can lean into as it reorganizes itself from the inside out. But here is the thing. They cannot do this for everyone simultaneously, not because they lack the capacity, but because not everyone is at a frequency where the entrainment can take hold. You cannot tune a radio to a station if the radio is broken. You cannot synchronize a pendulum that is not swinging. The consciousness must be active. It must be seeking. It must have reached a certain threshold of awareness where the old reality has begun to crack and the new one has not yet fully formed. That in-between space, that liminal zone where everything feels uncertain and unstable and like you are losing your mind, that is the threshold. That is where the Pleiadian signal can reach you. And if you are in that space right now, if your old life feels like it belongs to someone else, if your relationships are shifting, if your interests are changing, if you feel simultaneously exhausted and electrified, if you are drawn to content like this, not out of casual curiosity, but out of a deep need to understand what is happening to you, then you are not breaking down, you are breaking open. And the intelligence that is orchestrating that opening has been with you longer than you know. Let that land. Breathe into it. Because what I am about to share with you is going to reorganize something. Not in your mind, in your field. The Pleiadians do not choose you the way a teacher chooses a student or a coach chooses a player. The choosing is more like recognition. It is like two tuning forks made of the same metal, cut to the same length, suddenly being brought close enough to vibrate together. They recognize you because you carry a frequency signature that is, in some fundamental way, related to theirs. Some traditions call this a starseed origin. The idea that your soul, your consciousness, did not originate on Earth, but chose to incarnate here for a specific purpose during a specific window of planetary transformation. And whether you frame that literally or metaphorically does not matter. What matters is the felt sense of it. The knowing that has lived in you since childhood that you are from somewhere else. That this world, as beautiful as it is not quite home. That you came here to do something, to be something, to anchor something that this planet needs. That feeling is not psychological. It is not a coping mechanism for alienation. It is a memory encoded not in your brain, but in your field, in the quantum information that makes up the deeper layers of your being. And when the Pleiadian signal reaches you, it activates that memory, not all at once, not in a blinding flash of total recall, but gradually in layers, in spirals. Each activation bringing you closer to a version of yourself that your current identity cannot quite contain. This is why the process feels like dying, because in a very real sense it is. The self you constructed to survive in a three-dimensional reality built on separation, competition, and scarcity is not equipped for where you are going. That self was a masterpiece of adaptation. It learned the rules. It played the game. It kept you safe. And now it is being asked to dissolve, not because it failed, but because it succeeded. It got you to the threshold, and the threshold requires a different kind of being, a more expanded kind, a more fluid kind, a kind that can hold paradox without breaking, that can be simultaneously human and infinite, that can live in a body while knowing it is not the body, that can operate in time while sensing the timelessness that underlies every moment. This is what it means to become infinite, not to escape your humanity, but to realize that your humanity was always infinite, and you were simply experiencing it through a filter that made it appear limited. The Pleiadian transmission is not adding something to you that was not there. It is removing the filters, dissolving the barriers, helping you see what was always true, but hidden behind layers of conditioning, of trauma, of cultural programming, of the collective hypnosis that says you are small and separate and powerless. You are none of those things. You never were. Now, let me tell you about the specific ways this activation manifests, because if you are in it, you need to know that what you are experiencing is not random. It is structured. It is intelligent. And it follows a pattern that has been observed across thousands of individuals going through the same process. The first phase is disruption. Everything that is not aligned with your true frequency begins to fall away. Relationships that were built on the old version of you become strained or end entirely. Jobs that once felt secure become intolerable. Habits that used to comfort you lose their appeal. You may experience physical symptoms as your body recalibrates. Headaches, fatigue that sleep does not resolve, changes in appetite, sensitivity to light, to sound, to the emotional states of people around you. This is not illness. This is your nervous system upgrading its capacity to process higher frequency information. Your body is literally being rewired to handle more light, and light in this context is not a metaphor. It is information. Photonic information carried on frequencies that your previous configuration could not receive. The second phase is isolation, and this one is perhaps the most painful, because as your frequency shifts, you naturally move out of resonance with the people and environments that matched your old frequency. You may feel profoundly alone, misunderstood, like you are speaking a language that no one around you can hear. You may withdraw, not out of depression, though it can feel like depression, but out of a deep need to be in silence, to be in your own field without interference. This isolation is not punishment, it is incubation. You are being held in a cocoon of your own making while something fundamental restructures. And the loneliness you feel is actually the space where the Pleiadian frequency can reach you most clearly, because there is less noise, less interference, less of other people's frequencies muddying your signal. The third phase is download. This is where the information begins to come through in ways you cannot ignore. Sudden insights that feel like they arrive fully formed from outside your normal thinking process. Dreams that are so vivid and so structured that they feel more like briefings than fantasies. A knowing that arises about situations or people that proves accurate in ways your rational mind cannot account for. You may begin to see patterns in numbers in nature, in the synchronistic arrangement of events in your daily life that suggests an intelligence orchestrating from behind the scenes. Leventon 333. Repeated sequences that catch your attention, not because you are looking for them, but because they seem to be looking for you. These are not coincidences. They are coordinates. Frequency markers that confirm you are on the right trajectory. They are the Pleiadian consciousness saying, yes, you are hearing us, keep going. The fourth phase is integration, and this is where most people stumble because the downloads, the insights, The expanded states of consciousness, they mean nothing if they are not integrated into your lived experience, into your body, into your daily reality. You cannot live permanently in the expanded state. You are in a body for a reason. You chose density for a reason. The purpose is not to escape the human experience, but to bring the higher frequency into the human experience, to ground it, to anchor it, to become a living bridge between dimensions. This is what the Pleiadians are actually asking of you. Not to leave, not to ascend out of your body and float away into some ethereal realm, but to stay, to be here fully, completely, with all the mess and beauty and contradiction of human life, but to be here differently, to be here as a conscious conduit, as a frequency anchor, as someone who, simply by existing in coherence, raises the harmonic of every space they enter, every person they encounter, every field they touch. This is where everything changes, because you realize that the mission you came here for is not something you do. It is something you are. You do not have to build anything. You do not have to start a movement. You do not have to convince anyone of anything. You simply have to become fully what you already are. And in that becoming, in that full embodiment of your actual frequency, you become a transmission tower, a living broadcast of the very signal that woke you up. And that broadcast touches others not through your words, not through your actions, through your field, through the coherence of your presence, through the quantum entanglement that connects every consciousness in this universe to every other consciousness. Pause here. Close your eyes if you can. Place your hand on your heart and feel the truth of what I am saying, not as an idea, but as a vibration. Feel it in the warmth beneath your palm, in the rhythm of your heartbeat, in the subtle electricity that moves through your chest when you stop thinking and start sensing. That sensation, that aliveness, that is the Pleiadian frequency moving through you right now. Not because I put it there, because it was always there. And these words are simply giving you permission to notice it. You have been waiting for permission. You have been waiting for someone, something, some sign to confirm that what you have been feeling is real, that you are not crazy, that the world you sense beneath the world you see is not a hallucination, but a deeper layer of reality that you are learning to perceive. Consider this your confirmation. Not from me. I am just a voice, a vessel. The confirmation comes from your own field, from the recognition that moves through your body when truth lands. That recognition is the Pleiadian consciousness acknowledging itself through you. It is source recognizing source. It is the infinite meeting itself in the finite and smiling. Now, let me take you even deeper, because there is a layer to this that most people never reach. Most people stop at the personal level. They understand the activation in terms of their own journey, their own healing, their own expansion. And that is beautiful and necessary. But the Pleiadian transmission is not ultimately about you as an individual. It is about the species. It is about the planet. It is about a moment in the evolution of consciousness on Earth that has been anticipated for thousands of years and is happening right now in your lifetime, in your body, through your awareness. The Earth is going through its own frequency shift. This is not just a spiritual concept. The Schumann resonance, the electromagnetic frequency of the Earth's atmosphere, has been showing anomalous spikes that scientists cannot fully explain. The magnetic field of the planet is shifting. Solar activity is increasing. The very substrate of physical reality on this planet is changing. And consciousness, because it is not separate from the physical, but is the deeper layer of it, is changing too. The Pleiadians knew this was coming. They have been preparing for it, and they have been preparing you for it. Every activation, every disruption, every dark night of the soul you have endured was preparation, not punishment. Preparation. You were being strengthened, refined, cleared of everything that would prevent you from holding the frequency that is needed now. And the frequency that is needed now is love, but not the love you have been taught, not sentimental love, not romantic love, not the love that is really just attachment wearing a pleasant mask. The love that is needed is structural. It is the fundamental coherence of the universe expressing itself through a human nervous system. It is the force that holds atoms together, that curves space, time, that causes galaxies to spiral in patterns that mirror the spiral of your DNA. It is the love that is not an emotion, but a frequency, the highest frequency, the frequency at which all separation dissolves, and what remains is the unified field that quantum physicists describe mathematically and mystics describe experientially, and that you, in your most expanded moments, have tasted directly. That frequency is what you are becoming. That is what infinite means. Not that you will live forever in this body. Not that you will gain supernatural powers. Not that you will become something other than human, but that you will realize fully and irreversibly that the boundaries you thought defined you were never real, that the separation between you and the stars, between you and the Pleiadians, between you and every other consciousness in existence was a useful illusion that served its purpose and is now dissolving. And in its place something vast and intimate and impossibly beautiful is emerging, something that has no name, but that every spiritual tradition has pointed toward, something that you have always been, but are only now allowing yourself to know. This is the becoming. This is what the Pleiadians chose you for, not because you are special in the way the ego wants to be special, but because you are ready, because your frequency has reached the point where the old container cannot hold you anymore, and the new one is forming in real time, breath by breath, moment by moment, heartbeat by heartbeat. And here is the part that will challenge you most. You do not get to know what the new container looks like before you step into it. You do not get a blueprint. You do not get guarantees. The becoming requires trust, not trust in an external authority, not trust in a belief system, trust in the intelligence that is moving through you, trust in the same force that grows a seed into a tree without the seed needing to understand botany, trust in the same organizing principle that turns a single fertilized cell into a human being with 100 trillion cells, each one knowing exactly what to do. That intelligence is not outside you. It is you at the deepest level, and the Pleiadian frequency is simply helping you remember that. So, what do you do with this? How do you work with what is happening? How do you participate consciously in a process that is, by its nature, beyond the control of the conscious mind? You do it through presence, through the radical act of being fully here, fully now, fully in your body, fully in your heart, without trying to be anywhere else or anyone else or at any other time. Presence is the technology. It sounds too simple. It sounds like it cannot possibly be enough, but presence is the one state in which the Pleiadian frequency can fully anchor in your field. Because presence is the absence of resistance, and resistance is the only thing that blocks the signal. Every time you are lost in thought about the past, you are tuned to a frequency that has already played. Every time you are anxious about the future, you are tuned to a frequency that does not yet exist. Only in the present moment are you tuned to the frequency of what is actually real. And what is actually real, when you strip away the mental noise and the emotional turbulence and the conditioned reactions, is infinite. What is actually real is the unified field expressing itself as you, right now, reading these words, breathing this breath, feeling this feeling. That is infinity, not somewhere else, not someday. Here, now. The Pleiadians do not exist in the past or the future. They exist in a dimension that is always now, and the only way to meet them, to truly receive their transmission, is to join them in that eternal present. This is why meditation works, not because of the technique, not because of the posture or the mantra or the tradition, but because meditation, at its core, is simply the practice of being present, of returning again and again to the only moment that exists. And in that moment, the membrane between dimensions is thinnest. In that moment, you are most available to the frequencies that are trying to reach you. So here is what I want you to do, not later, not tomorrow. Now, take a breath, a real one, deep into your belly. Feel your body expand. Feel the air fill you. And as you exhale, let go of everything you think you know. Let go of every concept, every belief, every identity, every story, just for this breath. Just for this moment, be nothing, be no one. Be the awareness that exists before thought, before form, before name. In that space, in that emptiness, feel the hum, the subtle vibration that is always there beneath the noise, the frequency that does not come from outside, but seems to arise from the very center of your being. That is it. That is the signal. That is the Pleiadian frequency resonating through your heart field. And it has been there your entire life, waiting for you to get quiet enough to notice. You are not becoming infinite. You are realizing you always were. The Pleiadians did not give you anything you did not already have. They simply reflected back to you what you had forgotten. They held up a mirror made of starlight and showed you your own face. And your face is the face of the cosmos. Your eyes are the eyes through which the universe sees itself. Your heart is the heart through which creation feels itself. Your breath is the breath of something so vast and so intimate that no word has ever captured it, and no word ever will. This is what it means to be chosen. It means you chose this. Before you were born, before you forgot, before the veil of physical reality made you believe you were small and separate and alone. You chose to come here, to this planet, at this time, in this body, to anchor a frequency that would help an entire species remember what it is. And now you are remembering. And the remembering is not comfortable, because it requires the dissolution of everything you built on the foundation of forgetting. But it is necessary. And it is beautiful. And it is the most important thing happening on this planet right now. You are not watching this by accident. There are no accidents in a conscious universe. Every particle, every wave, every quantum fluctuation is an expression of intelligence. And the intelligence that brought you here to this moment, to these words, knows exactly what it is doing. Trust it, not blindly, not naively, but with the deep trust of a being who is beginning to remember that it is the intelligence it has been searching for. The Pleiadians are not above you. They are not separate from you. They are a frequency of consciousness that exists within the same unified field that you exist within. Meeting them is not about looking up. It is about looking in. Going deeper into your own, being until you reach the place where your consciousness and theirs are not two things, but one thing expressing itself in different octaves. Like the same note played on different instruments, the melody is identical. The timbre is unique, and together they create a harmony that neither could produce alone. That harmony is what is being created right now between dimensions, between species of consciousness, between the stars and the earth and the human heart. And you are part of it. Not as a spectator, as an instrument, a living, breathing, feeling instrument through which the music of creation is playing itself into a new arrangement. Feel that. Feel the enormity of it and the intimacy of it simultaneously, because that paradox, that ability to hold the infinite and the personal in the same breath, is the hallmark of Pleiadian consciousness, and it is becoming yours. There is one more thing I need you to understand, and this may be the most important thing of all. The process you are in does not have an end point. You do not arrive at infinite and stop. Infinite, by definition, has no boundary, no ceiling, no final destination. The becoming is eternal. The expansion never ends. There is always a deeper layer, always a higher frequency, always a more profound realization waiting on the other side of the one you just had. And that is not exhausting when you truly understand it. It is liberating, because it means you can never fail. You can never fall behind. You can never get it wrong. There is no timeline you are supposed to be on. There is no milestone you are supposed to have reached by now. There is only this moment, this breath, this frequency. And whatever frequency you are at right now is exactly the right frequency for right now. The Pleiadians do not judge your progress. They do not measure your awakening against some cosmic standard. They see you as you actually are, not as you fear you are. And what they see is light, compressed, densified, temporarily confused light that is in the process of remembering its own luminosity. And they love what they see. Not with the conditional love of a world that only values you when you perform, with the unconditional recognition of consciousness seeing itself in another form and knowing beyond any doubt that it is the same. You are the same. You and the stars. You and the Pleiadians. You and every being in every dimension in every corner of this infinite, conscious, endlessly creative universe. The same awareness, the same love, the same light wearing different costumes, playing different roles, but always, always, always the same. Let that be the thing you carry with you when this is over. Not a concept, not a belief, a felt sense, a vibration in your heart that says, yes, I remember, I am this. I have always been this, and now I am ready to live as this. The Pleiadians did not choose you because you are worthy. They chose you because you are awake enough to hear them. And hearing them is the same as hearing yourselves, the deepest, truest, most infinite version of yourself that has been waiting with infinite patience for you to get quiet enough, still enough, present enough to listen. You are listening now, and everything is about to change. Not because something external shifts, but because you do. Because the internal coherence you are building, breath by breath, moment by moment, is reaching a critical threshold. And when it reaches that threshold, reality reorganizes around you. Not through force, through frequency. The same way a tuning fork does not push the air. It simply vibrates and the air has no choice but to respond. You are the tuning fork. Your coherence is the vibration and reality is the air. Vibrate. Become what you already are. The Pleiadians are not coming to save you. They are celebrating you because you are saving yourself by remembering yourself, by becoming yourself, by allowing the infinite intelligence that you are to finally, fully, irreversibly express itself through this body, this life, this moment on this beautiful, aging, transforming planet. If this resonated with something deeper than your mind, if you felt it in your body, in your heart, in the spaces between your thoughts, then you know what this is. You know this is not entertainment. This is activation. And the only appropriate response to activation is integration. Take what you felt here and bring it into your life. Not as a belief you carry, as a frequency you embody. Walk differently. Breathe differently. See the people around you differently. See yourself differently. Not because I told you to, because you cannot unsee what you have seen. You cannot unfeel what you have felt. The membrane has thinned. The signal has been received, and now it lives in you. Come back to this transmission every morning before the world rushes in. Let it reset your frequency before the noise begins, and send it to someone whose soul you know is searching. Because when you share this signal, you do not dilute it. You amplify it. The act of passing this frequency forward creates a quantum ripple that strengthens the coherence in your own field while awakening it in theirs. That is how the new reality gets built. One shared resonance at a time. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Not everyone will understand, but the ones who are ready will feel it the same way you did, like coming home to a place they have never been, but have always known. Subscribe to this channel if you want to continue this journey. Not for me, for the field we are building together. Every consciousness that joins this frequency strengthens it. Every heart that opens amplifies the signal. We are not just watching videos. We are weaving a new reality, one frequency at a time, one breath at a time, one awakening at a time. You were chosen not by something outside you, by the deepest part of you that knew before you were born that this moment would come, that you would be ready, that you would say yes. You are saying yes right now. And the universe is listening. The activation you felt here is only the beginning. Go watch if you see this. Your quantum soul is activating because it will show you exactly how to harness this awakening and make the shift from remembering who you are to becoming completely unbreakable in that knowing.